The profound language of silence, understanding the depth behind quiet souls. There's an unspoken truth that ripples through every gathering, every workplace, every family dinner. The people who speak the least often understand the most. While the world celebrates volume and rewards those who command attention with their voices, there exists a different kind of intelligence, a quieter form of wisdom that operates in the spaces between words. If you've ever wondered about the person sitting quietly in the corner, seemingly distant but somehow deeply present, you're about to discover something remarkable. Their silence isn't empty, it's overflowing with everything most people miss in their rush to be heard. The sacred art of observation. Picture this. While everyone else is competing for airtime, the quiet person is conducting a masterclass in human behavior. They're not withdrawn or disengaged, they're performing one of the most sophisticated cognitive tasks imaginable. They're reading the room with the precision of a scientist and the intuition of an artist. Every micro-expression becomes data. Every shift in tone carries meaning. The way someone's shoulders tense when a certain topic arises, the fleeting shadow that crosses someone's face before they force a smile. The rhythm of nervous laughter that fills uncomfortable pauses. Quiet people catalog these details. Like others, collect words. This isn't social anxiety masquerading as wisdom. This is emotional intelligence in its purest form. While others react, they observe. While others assume, they analyze. While others speak to fill silence, they use silence to understand what's really being communicated. The economics of expression. To truly grasp why some people choose silence over speech, imagine if every word cost you something precious: time, energy, or emotional currency. That's exactly how quiet individuals experience communication. They've developed what psychologists call selective verbalization, the unconscious habit of treating words as valuable resources that shouldn't be wasted. This careful curation isn't born from arrogance or superiority. It stems from a deep understanding that words, once released, cannot be retrieved. They recognize that speaking without purpose often creates more noise than clarity, more confusion than connection. So they wait, they listen, they process. And when they finally speak, their words carry weight because they've been refined through reflection. Think about the most impactful conversations you've had. Chances are, they weren't with the person who talked the most, but with someone who chose their words deliberately, who made you feel heard before they asked to be heard. The neuroscience behind the quiet mind. Recent neurological research has revealed something fascinating about people who prefer silence. Brain imaging studies show that introverted individuals, many of whom are naturally quieter, exhibit higher baseline activity in their prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for internal processing, planning, and reflection. Their brains are literally more active in the areas associated with thoughtful analysis. This heightened internal activity explains why quiet people often appear to be in their heads. They're not disconnected from the world around them. They're processing it more thoroughly than most. While others externalize their thoughts through speech, quiet individuals internalize, analyze, and synthesize information before deciding whether it needs to be shared. This neurological difference also explains why quiet people often experience what researchers call cognitive overload in highly social situations. Their brains are working overtime, processing not just the spoken words, but the complete spectrum of human communication, body language, emotional undertones, social dynamics, and unspoken tensions. The emotional archaeology of silence. Behind many quiet personalities lies a complex emotional history. Some learned early that silence was safer than speech, that observation was more valuable than participation. Perhaps they grew up in households where words were weapons rather than bridges, where speaking up led to conflict rather than connection. This adaptive silence, a psychological term describing how people learn to protect themselves through reduced verbal expression, can become so ingrained that it transforms from a defense mechanism into a way of being. What starts as protection evolves into preference, and eventually into a sophisticated form of emotional intelligence. These individuals often become what psychologists call emotional archaeologists, people who can uncover layers of meaning in human interaction that others miss entirely. They can sense when someone's enthusiasm is forced, when confidence masks insecurity, when laughter hides pain. This ability isn't mystical, it's the result of focused attention and pattern recognition, developed through years of careful observation. The highly sensitive phenomenon. Approximately 20% of the population possesses what researchers call high sensitivity, a trait characterized by deeper sensory processing and stronger emotional responsiveness. These individuals don't just hear words, they hear the music between the words. They don't just see actions, they perceive intentions, motivations, and emotions with startling clarity. For highly sensitive people, a typical conversation is like standing in a room where 20 radios are playing different stations simultaneously. Every vocal inflection, every pause, every gesture broadcasts information. Their nervous systems process all of this data without filters, making silence not just preferable but necessary for mental and emotional well-being. This heightened sensitivity often makes them exceptional friends, partners, and confidants. They remember not just what you said, but how you said it, and what you might have been feeling when you said it. They notice when you're struggling, before you've even admitted it to yourself. They offer comfort in ways that feel perfectly tailored to your needs, because they've been paying attention at a level most people can't sustain. The creative power of stillness. History's greatest innovators, artists, and thinkers often shared one common trait. They were comfortable with solitude and silence. Albert Einstein took long, silent walks to think through complex problems. Virginia Woolf wrote about the necessity of quiet spaces for creativity. Steve Jobs was known for his thoughtful pauses and deliberate communication style. Silence isn't the absence of creativity, it's the womb where creativity gests. In the quiet spaces of the mind, ideas that might never survive the chaos of constant chatter have room to develop, mature, and eventually emerge as fully formed thoughts worth sharing. Quiet people understand something that our noise-obsessed culture often forgets, that the most profound insights often arise not from the collision of opinions, but from the intersection of reflection and experience. They create mental space for connections that others, caught up in the urgency of expression, might never discover. The paradox of connection here lies one of the most poignant aspects of quiet personalities. They crave deep connection while simultaneously protecting themselves from superficial interaction. They long to be understood but fear being misunderstood. They want to share their rich inner worlds but worry about having those worlds diminished or dismissed. This creates a profound loneliness that's hard for others to recognize. Quiet people can be surrounded by others and still feel profoundly alone. Not because they lack social contact, but because they lack the specific type of connection they need. Slow, thoughtful, authentic exchange rather than rapid fire social banter. When quiet people do form connections, they tend to be extraordinarily deep and lasting. They don't collect acquaintances, they cultivate relationships. They don't network, they nurture bonds. Their approach to relationships mirrors their approach to communication: quality over quantity, depth over breadth, authenticity over performance. The weight of unspoken words. One of the greatest challenges facing quiet individuals is the accumulation of unexpressed thoughts and emotions. When you process deeply but speak sparingly, internal pressure can build like steam in a kettle. Thoughts, insights, reactions, and feelings pile up in the quiet spaces of the mind, creating what some psychologists call cognitive congestion. This can lead to a particular form of emotional exhaustion that's hard for others to understand. While extroverted individuals discharge energy through expression, quiet people often internalize it, carrying the weight of unshared observations and unfelt emotions. They may appear calm on the surface while experiencing intense internal activity. The challenge isn't just about finding opportunities to speak, it's about finding the right people to speak to, people who can match their depth and appreciate their carefully chosen words. Quiet people don't just want to be heard, they want to be understood, and that requires listeners who can appreciate both what is said and what remains unspoken. Reclaiming the power of quiet in our current cultural moment, where social media rewards the loudest voices and the quickest responses, being naturally quiet can feel like a disadvantage. The pressure to perform personality, to brand oneself, to constantly engage and react can be overwhelming for people whose natural rhythm is more reflective and deliberate. But what if we've got it backwards? What if the ability to be comfortable with silence, to think before speaking, to observe before reacting, represents not a deficit, but a sophisticated form of intelligence? What if quiet people aren't failing to keep up with our noisy world, but are actually modeling a more sustainable way of being? Consider the quality of attention that quiet people bring to conversations. While others are formulating responses or waiting for their turn to speak, quiet individuals are fully present, offering something increasingly rare in our distracted world: genuine, undivided attention. This quality of presence can be transformative for the person receiving it. The gifts hidden in silence. Quiet people often possess gifts that our culture overlooks in its celebration of charisma and verbal agility. They're often exceptionally good listeners, not just waiting for their turn to talk, but genuinely interested in understanding others' perspectives. They tend to be reliable confidants because they understand the value of discretion and the weight of trust. Their thoughtful nature often makes them excellent problem solvers. While others might rush to solutions, quiet individuals take time to understand problems fully before proposing answers. Their solutions tend to be more thorough, more considerate of potential consequences, and more sustainable over time. They also often possess a quality that's becoming increasingly precious: the ability to be fully present. In a world of divided attention and multitasking, quiet people often bring a quality of focused awareness that can be deeply healing for others. They make people feel seen, heard, and valued in ways that have nothing to do with words. Understanding, not fixing. Perhaps the most important thing to understand about quiet people is that they don't need to be fixed. They don't need to be drawn out of their shells or encouraged to speak up more. What they need is understanding, acceptance, and space to contribute in their own way. If you're someone who loves a quiet person, whether as a friend, partner, or family member, the greatest gift you can offer isn't encouragement to be more social or outgoing. It's recognition of the unique ways they show care, the specific gifts they bring, and the particular wisdom they offer through their thoughtful approach to life. For those who recognize themselves in this description, know that your quietness isn't a flaw to be overcome, but a strength to be understood. Your ability to think before speaking, to observe before judging, to understand before reacting. These are rare and valuable qualities that the world needs more of, not less. The future of quiet wisdom, as our world becomes increasingly noisy, literally and figuratively, the wisdom of quiet individuals becomes more precious. They remind us that not every thought needs to be tweeted, not every opinion needs to be shared, not every moment needs to be filled with sound. They model a different way of being that's both ancient and urgently needed. Their silence isn't empty space waiting to be filled. It's full space, rich with observation, heavy with empathy, pregnant with understanding. It's a different language, one that speaks in presence rather than words, in attention rather than announcement, in depth rather than volume. In the end, the person who doesn't talk much isn't missing out on communication. They're practicing a more refined form of it. They're not absent from connection. They're present in a way that's both rare and remarkable. They're not failing to engage with the world. They're engaging so deeply that words often feel inadequate to capture what they've discovered. The quiet ones among us aren't broken extroverts waiting to be fixed. They're complete individuals offering a different way of being human. One that values depth over surface, quality over quantity, understanding over being understood. And perhaps, in learning to appreciate their unique gifts, we might all discover the profound power that lives in the spaces between words, in the wisdom of well-managed chosen silence, and in the deep connection that can only happen when we slow down enough to truly listen. Their silence isn't the absence of voice, it's the presence of something deeper, something that our noisy world desperately needs to remember how to hear.